I'm going to move to Giandomenico.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. How are you?
Quite fine. I had a tough beginning, but I'm still here.
I've been reading about how asking people how they are is maybe not the right greeting these days. There needs to be something else. And so I'll say to you, Giando, that I'm just really glad to see you.
Yeah.
And do you mind like sharing I think many people have heard about how we've met, how you've come to be involved in the foundation, but maybe you could just start with a little bit of that and then go into what you're presenting to us.
So the start is how I get involved with the foundation.
Yeah, how we met and working in Italy. Any thoughts about that you want to share?
Yeah. Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Giandomenico Bagatin, and I first read Windows to Our Children from Violet Ocklander in 2007, if I remember correctly. And then I went to the US to train in the model in 2010 in Malibu at Serra 3 at the beautiful time in which we could do that in presence. And I had this training, and then we started to talk with Lynn and Karen about starting to spread the Ocklander model in Italy, and we started it in 2012. And Karen and Lynn and myself, we trained a lot of people. I lost the count, but hundreds. And then we did it also in other countries like Spain and Portugal. And this is going on since almost it's 8 years, really. And by now the movement in Italy is 100 of therapists, and we had this great web platform in which 1,500 people are connected, and we spread news and article and web meetings where Karen, Lynn, and other trainers from the foundation are monthly with us, and I'm very grateful. So a very, very big movement started in Italy in the last years, thanks to the foundation and thanks to your work. And it's the first time, I think, in the country that a movement interested in humanistic work with children and adolescents is becoming so great and important and effective in Italy, which is really wonderful. And the other thing that I like so much about also working with the foundation and working with the group in Italy and the community in Italy is that people are so much cooperative that it's really a great thing. And I'm impressed about it, about how the model not only contributes to good work with children, but also for a good relationship between persons, which is amazing. That's my presentation.
Okay. I think that 8 years, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so that's great. Thanks for giving the background.
Thank you. So should I start?
Sure, please.
Yeah. Okay. I will share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the idea for this brief presentation was in the last meeting, really, because I saw this beautiful tool that Kathy developed for ocklandertraining.com, which was the doll's house. And one thing that impressed me about the doll's house is that it is almost identical to fantasy I use with children and adolescents, especially for working with loss and grief and in general life-changing events. This is a screenshot from the doll's house, and the picture I use in the fantasy is exactly the same, except for one more room that I usually make children draw, which is a basement underground. So it's one more room really when I ask them to draw it. For the same, the structure is identical, and I try to use it online, and it's really amazing. So the plan for today is to share the general idea offline, then something about the online thing, and then share together a brief experience for playing with the dollhouse and saying something about this 2020 that we will remember from the next years, and maybe processing something, I don't know. So the original tool I use is a drawing, and I have to give credits, of course, to Violet's work, because I use the her projective techniques, and to an English psychologist, which name is Margot Sunderland, and Robin Shapiro from Ego State Therapy too. I use different versions of this fantasy, but I will briefly show what I do with the loss, grief, and life-changing events. And the goal basically is to see things wider and see them in perspectives. There's an idea about stages, or better, I like more, main issues and feelings about loss, grief, and life-changing events. In the first floor of the house, I suggest to imagine two rooms. One is the room for successes, and it relates to something I like about myself. The other room is the room of beauty. So it refers to something I like about the world, basically. I told you before about the basement, and usually I help children and adolescents imagine the basement of the lost things. So to imagine something with old photographs, for example, or old boxes with the lost things inside, and it's obviously related to sadness for what I've lost. Then I have the second floor that it's exactly like the second floor of the doll's house, with two rooms, the room of anger and the room of guilt, which is also related usually to shame and disgust. And then I use the last room, the attic, as the attic of treasure. And usually I ask children to imagine a trunk with many objects in it, and then choose something to draw from the trunk. This is the original prompt I use, and Karen, obviously I'm going to send you the prompt, so everyone should experiment about it and use it and so on. So no problem, I just briefly explain what I do usually. I do a brief relax and meditation exercise, and then I guide children to a visualization, which is a neighborhood, basically, in which they encounter a house, and then they see their name outside the house, and then they imagine all the rooms of the house, which are the one I described to you before. So there's a what I deserved or successes room. And then I suggest to look inside the room and to notice the shape of the room, if they can see paintings or pictures on the wall or furnitures or trophies or peoples or toys and so on. And for every room, I suggest them to open their eyes and draw something in the proper room. Usually this is a long session. It's an experience that covers an entire session. So I make children open their eyes every time they imagine something in a room. And we are not going to do this today, of course. And then we have, as I told you before, the room of beauty. Same principle. The basement, which is the room of lost things. Dust boxes, trunks, shells, papers, and things on the floor. And also in this room, I invite children to draw something that stands out for them. Then we have the upstairs rooms, which are room of anger and room of guilt. Usually when I make children imagine a room of anger, I suggest also the possibility that there is something to break or destroy, or maybe I'm punching back and so on, and they can imagine to interact with those objects. Then the room of guilt. And usually I add to the previous suggestions that they can find food or poison things or something disgusting, or suggest possibility to throw out or spill if there's something dangerous in it. And then in the last room, the attic of treasure, which is a protected place, I suggest to imagine a trunk with many things inside and to choose a special object to draw and to own as a projection later. So the way that I proceed with this experience offline, and I do it since several years, is to explain the procedure and draw the house. Do the visualization and draw something in every room. And after the experience, we have free comments about it. And then we do the work about owning the projection. So be the things you draw, integration and general feeling at the end of the experience. By the word integration, I mean not only the possibility of the parts of the different things in the rooms to interact with each other, but also if the child or the adolescent has something to say to the things that he drew or she drew. When I used the doll's house to experiment this method, I do basically the same thing. So I prepare and explain and show tools and objects. So how to work with it, and choose objects to put in every room. And I encourage to say at the end of the experience general comments. Then we do the projection work and the integration. Then I give the chance to move and change things in the house. And we deal with general feelings about the work. And okay, I already told you about the basement. So that's the suggestion for the procedure. As I told you, I will give you the prompt so everyone could experiment with it. My experience online, which is limited because the tool is new, is that the work take one entire session. So we will do just a brief experience about it. And my idea for today is to take a very quick tour in our 2020 House of Memories. If you are with me with it, give me a sign. Yeah?
We're ready.
Okay. So, First of all, I will stop share for a moment and I will put on the chat the address of the online dollhouse so everyone can use it. And please let me know if you have difficulties about it. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. So we are not going to close our eyes and visualize because it takes too much time. We are just going to put something in our house by now. Just imagine it with the eyes open. So what I suggest you to do by now is to imagine this empty house you have in front of you as the house of memories of your 2020. And what I like you to do is focus for some minutes about the first room on the right. And imagine that it's the room of your successes in 2020, something that you achieved, something that went right, something that stands out for you in 2020, and just look at all the things you can put in this room and just choose something, at least one object that stands up for you and reminds me of what you succeeded in. Okay, give me a sign if you put at least one object in the room. Yeah? Mara, see? Okay, great. So we are going to grow up the house in the second room, which is the room at the first floor on the left, which is the room of beauty. So I invite you to choose some object or persons or whatever reminds me of something nice or beautiful or something good happened to you in 2020. Don't think much about it. Just choose things that fits in your beauty room. Okay, give me a sign if you put it something, at least one object. Yes? Yeah, okay. Okay, so we are going to the second floor of the House of Memory, and I suggest you to start with the room on the right, which is the anger room of 2020. So what I want you to do is to choose one object or more for your anger room. Okay. Again, give me a sign if you put at least one thing in the room. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we'll move on to the next room, which is the room on the left, on the second floor, which is the room of the lost things. So something I lost in 2020. I just check out on objects and persons and furniture and just choose something that stands out for me for representing something I lost. Okay, give me the last sign if you put it something. Okay, great. So the last thing I suggest you, we are going to the Attic of Treasures, is to go to page 2 of the doll's house and just put those piles of boxes inside it. And just close your eyes for a few moments And imagine that you physically goes to that protected place upstairs and you search inside these boxes until you find something really precious, maybe a picture or maybe a little object or maybe a paper with something written on it. Just search in the boxes and let them surprise you. Could be something that you immediately understand or something that surprises you, and it's fine. And when you imagine this object, just write down what kind of object you imagined. Write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, so my purpose for the next 10 minutes is to have people sharing in pairs what they want to share about their House of Memories for 2020. Is it possible, Karen, to have people in breakout room in pairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sure is. Okay. Whoops, why is it echoing?
So
I'm just working on it. It's
while you're
there.
working on it, I wanted just to let colleagues know that obviously we're just going to share something. It's not a mutual therapy session, so just choose something that you want to share, a particular object that stands out for you, or the general aspect of the house, or something that happened during the process, or whatever you like to share. It's going to be about 5 minutes each. Okay, nothing else to say really, because I said I'm going to send you with Karen the prompt. So the only thing I want to ask is if someone has to share something in the great group. And maybe one thing I'm thinking about it, even if you don't want to share, you can write down on the chat your special objects in the attic. So that could be interesting for everyone.
I love that. I love that part.
So anyone wants to share something?
A cup of coffee, guitar, a note, teddy bear, nature night, seashell, beautiful. Memories of childhood, lovely. A boat, a rainbow. Great. Anything anyone wants to share briefly? A craft work.
Contract.
A dress. Nature and childhood. A book contract. Cool. Wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
Well, Giandomenico, thank you so much for that. I know I'm going to be using this. And I love it as a drawing. I would love it as a physical dollhouse, you know, and I love it how you adapted it to our online version. So I could see how it would be so powerful either way. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.